My beloved child, listen carefully. Whatever is filling your hands right now can wait. The message you are about to hear deserves your full attention. Not because you should be afraid, but because your heart may be carrying something you have been trying to ignore for far too long. Do not rush away from these words. Do not let the noise around you drown out this moment. Take a breath, become still, and listen. There are seasons when God speaks through celebration, and there are seasons when His message comes as a quiet invitation to stop, examine your heart, and change direction before you continue any farther. This is a message about that kind of moment. You may have been moving through your days as though everything is normal. You wake up, complete your responsibilities, speak to people, smile when necessary, and continue forward. But deep inside, you know there are questions you have been avoiding. There are decisions you have postponed. There are relationships you have tolerated. There are habits you know are draining your peace. And there is a part of you that has been whispering, something needs to change. My beloved child, do not silence that whisper. You do not have to panic. You do not have to figure everything out tonight. But you do need to become honest with yourself. Because sometimes the greatest danger is not what is coming toward you. Sometimes the greatest danger is continuing down a road simply because you have already traveled so far. You have become accustomed to certain things that were never meant to become permanent. You have learned to call exhaustion normal. You have learned to call confusion patience. You have learned to call unhealthy attachment love. You have learned to call fear wisdom. And now God is inviting you to look again, not with shame, not with condemnation, but with truth. My child, there is a difference between being delayed and being denied. There is a difference between waiting and wandering. There is a difference between protecting your peace and hiding from your purpose. You need wisdom to know the difference. And wisdom often begins with stillness. You have been asking for an answer, but perhaps you have been moving so quickly that you have not given yourself enough silence to recognize one. Slow down. Look at your life honestly. Look at the people you allow close to your heart. Look at the decisions you are preparing to make. Look at what repeatedly steals your peace. Look at what repeatedly pulls you away from the person you know you are becoming. Do not ignore these things. Sometimes God does not change your surroundings first. Sometimes He changes your awareness first. He opens your eyes before He opens the door. He gives you discernment before He gives you direction. He teaches you what to release before He shows you what to receive. And that process can feel uncomfortable. But discomfort does not always mean something is wrong. Sometimes discomfort is what growth feels like when you finally stop living on autopilot. My beloved child, you have spent too much time questioning your worth because someone else failed to recognize it. You have spent too many nights replaying conversations. You have wondered whether you were enough. You have wondered why someone walked away. You have wondered why something you prayed for did not happen when you expected it. And perhaps you have quietly asked, God, did you forget me? No, you are not forgotten. A delay is not proof of abandonment. A closed door is not proof that your life is over. And a painful chapter does not determine the ending of your story. There were things you wanted that would have wounded you if you had received them too early. There were doors you wanted opened before you understood what was behind them. There were people you desperately wanted to keep who may not have been able to walk with you into the future you were praying for. And there were moments when what felt like rejection was actually redirection. You could not see it then. You may not completely understand it now. But one day, you may look back and realize that the answer you hated was protecting you from a life you would have regretted choosing. So stop measuring God's faithfulness by your current circumstances. Your life is still unfolding. There are chapters you have not read yet. There are opportunities you cannot see yet. There are lessons you have not understood yet. And there is still room for restoration. But restoration does not always mean returning to what was. Sometimes restoration means becoming whole enough to stop returning to what repeatedly broke you. Hear that carefully. You do not need to go backward simply because the past feels familiar. Familiar does not always mean safe. Comfortable does not always mean right. And loneliness does not mean you should accept anyone who offers temporary attention. Protect your heart. Not because everyone is against you, but because your heart is valuable. Pay attention to consistency. Pay attention to character. Pay attention to how people treat you when they have nothing to gain. Words can sound beautiful. Promises can sound convincing. But character is revealed through patterns. You do not need to accuse anyone. You do not need to become suspicious of everyone around you. Simply become wise. Let actions speak. Let time reveal what words cannot. And remember this, you are allowed to establish boundaries without becoming bitter. You are allowed to say no without explaining yourself endlessly. You are allowed to leave environments that continually destroy your peace. You are allowed to choose healing. You are allowed to outgrow what once felt like home. My beloved child, perhaps the greatest battle you are facing right now is not outside of you. Perhaps it is the battle between who you have been and who you are becoming. One part of you wants to remain comfortable. Another part knows you were created for more. One part wants immediate answers. Another part is learning patience. One part wants everyone to understand you. Another part is learning that you do not need everyone's approval to obey what is right. This is why you feel stretched. You are growing. And growth requires you to release versions of yourself that cannot accompany you into the next season. Let go of the need to be understood by everyone. Let go of the need to prove yourself. Let go of the endless attempt to control every outcome. There will always be circumstances beyond your reach. And peace begins when you stop trying to carry responsibilities that were never yours. You have carried tomorrow while barely surviving today. You have worried about conversations that have not happened. You have feared losses that have not occurred. You have created entire tragedies inside your imagination and then suffered through them as though they were already real. Come back to today. Today is where your life is happening. Today is where you can pray. Today is where you can choose differently. Today is where you can forgive. Today is where you can begin again. Do not let fear steal a day that God has placed in your hands. And if you have made mistakes, hear this clearly. Your mistakes are not the end of you. You may have taken the wrong turn. You may have trusted the wrong person. You may have wasted time. You may have made decisions you wish you could undo. But shame cannot rewrite the past. Only wisdom can transform it. Learn from what happened. Receive the lesson. Make the correction. Then keep walking. Do not build a permanent home inside temporary regret. You were not created to spend the rest of your life punishing yourself for what you did when you did not yet know what you know today. Grace gives you permission to begin again. My child, there is something else I want you to understand. You have been praying for a breakthrough, but perhaps your next breakthrough begins with obedience in something small. Clean up what you have been avoiding. Have the conversation you know needs to happen, with kindness and wisdom. Close the door you already know should remain closed. Return to prayer. Return to gratitude. Return to discipline. Return to the values you abandoned while trying to please everyone else. Do not wait for a dramatic moment before you begin changing your life. Great transformation often begins quietly. One decision. One boundary. One honest prayer. One surrendered worry. One courageous step. And then another. You may not see immediate results. That does not mean nothing is happening. A seed does not look like a tree when it is placed beneath the soil. There is a hidden season before there is visible fruit. So if your life feels quiet right now, do not automatically assume it is empty. Some things grow where you cannot see them. Your character is growing. Your wisdom is growing. Your endurance is growing. Your understanding is growing. And someday you may realize that the season you wanted to escape was the very season that prepared you to handle what you were praying for. My beloved child, stop comparing your journey with someone else's. Their timing is not your timing. Their opportunities are not your opportunities. Their chapter is not your chapter. You do not know what they had to survive to arrive where they are, and they do not know what you have carried to arrive where you are. Comparison will make you overlook your own blessings because you are staring at someone else's life. Look again. There is still something beautiful in your story. There are still reasons to be grateful. There are still people who love you. There are still possibilities ahead. There are still mornings you have not seen. There are still prayers whose answers may arrive in ways you never expected. So do not give up, because the answer did not come in the shape you imagined. Sometimes the blessing does not look like the thing you requested. Sometimes it looks like strength. Sometimes it looks like clarity. Sometimes it looks like a closed door. Sometimes it looks like the courage to walk away. Sometimes it looks like peace after years of inner conflict. And sometimes the greatest miracle is realizing that you no longer need what you once begged for. My child, tonight I want you to release the pressure to have everything figured out. You don't need the entire map. You need the next faithful step. Take that step, then another. Trust God with the distance you cannot see. When fear tells you that everything is falling apart, remember that not every ending is destruction. Some endings are preparation. Some endings create room. Some endings free you from what you were too afraid to release yourself. And some beginnings arrive disguised as endings. So breathe. Lift your head. You are not finished. Your story is not finished. Your purpose is not finished. The pain you experienced does not get the final word. The rejection does not get the final word. The failure does not get the final word. The delay does not get the final word. God's grace is still writing, and you still have a choice about how you respond to this season. Choose faith over panic. Choose wisdom over impulse. Choose truth over appearances. Choose peace over unnecessary conflict. Choose obedience over temporary comfort. And choose hope even when you cannot yet see the outcome. If these words are speaking directly to something you have been carrying, don't simply listen and move on. Take a quiet moment after this message. Ask yourself what needs to change. Ask God for wisdom. Ask for courage. Ask for discernment. And then be willing to act on what you understand. My beloved child, you do not have to fear tomorrow. You can prepare for it without being controlled by it. You can walk carefully without becoming afraid. You can love people without losing yourself. You can forgive without returning to unhealthy situations. You can have faith while still using wisdom. And you can trust God while taking responsible steps with the life placed in your hands. So tonight, let your heart become quiet. Let the unnecessary noise fall away. Release the need to know everything. Release the fear of what you cannot control. And remember that you are still being shaped, still being guided toward wisdom, still capable of beginning again. Do not ignore this moment. Not because something terrible is waiting for you, but because something important is being awakened inside you. Awareness, courage, wisdom, peace, and the willingness to walk forward differently. My beloved child, the next season of your life does not require you to become someone else. It requires you to become more honest about who you were created to be. So rise again, pray again, believe again, begin again. And when tomorrow comes, do not carry tonight's fear into it. Carry tonight's wisdom. Walk forward with a calmer heart. Walk forward with clearer eyes. Walk forward knowing that you do not need to understand the entire journey before taking the next step. Your story is still unfolding, and there is still more ahead. If you receive this message in your heart, write Amen in the comments. Not as a ritual, but as your personal reminder that you choose faith, wisdom, and courage for the road ahead. And if someone you love needs these words today, share this message with them. Subscribe if you want more faith-filled messages that encourage you to keep your heart close to God. My beloved child, breathe deeply. You are here. You are still standing. And this is not the end. It is another beginning.